Hi. Okay, so this warm up is to kind of review the stuff from the previous lesson to see if you can factor these trinomials into being a binomial times a binomial. So that means these are in threes. You got to make them look like it's 2 times 2. I will do one of them. I will do number 3. Okay, so for number 3, I want the factors of a times c that add up to b. So a is 1, meaning 1x squared. C is negative 10. So I want the factors of negative 10 that add up to 3. Well, the factors of negative 10 that add up to 3 are positive 5 and negative 2. Positive 5 times negative 2 is negative 10, but if you add them together, you get 3. So that's what I want. So that means that if I were to split up 3x into 5x and negative 2x minus 10. So I just split up 3x into 5x and minus 2x. The greatest common factor of x squared and 5x is x, so I would divide out x from both sides. That's the greatest common factor of these two. And the greatest common factor of negative 2x and negative 10 is negative 2. And if I do negative 10 divided by negative 2, I get positive 5. And if you notice that inside the parentheses is the exact same thing, therefore I actually get to combine my two greatest common factors into one single parenthesis, and I get the answer of x minus 2 times x plus 5. And that's what the previous lesson was about. If what I'm saying doesn't make sense to you, watch the video from the previous lesson. Okay, so what do you have to solve for the variable? Okay, so solve for the variable means, like for this previous problem, if I made it equal 0, and you would actually have to solve for the variable. I'm going to show two ways to do this. One way is by hand, and one way is just by graphing, basically. So, for example, all right, let's say like you factor this, and you find out this. What this means is that you have two simple equations. You got x minus 2 equals 0. Because if I make this 0, it doesn't matter what this is, it becomes 0. Because 0 times anything is 0. Okay? So that means x is 2. Hey, x is 2. Right. And then here, x plus 5 equals 0. If I subtract 5 from both sides, it gets negative 5. So that actually creates the two answers. It'd be negative 2, positive 2 and negative 5, if that was the problem. Now I'm going to do my example problem here, which says w squared minus 6w minus 27. Okay, so I want the factors of 1 times negative 27 that add up to negative 6. So the factors of negative 27 that add up to negative 6 are negative 9 and 3. Okay, those two add up. Okay, so what that means is if I were to split up negative 6w into negative 9w and 3w, like so, I can now identify the greatest common factors of both binomials. So what's the greatest common factor of that? It's w, and that becomes w minus 9. And then the greatest common factor of 3w and negative 27 is 3. And that is w minus 9. And notice that we now have this answer, w plus 3, w minus 9. Okay, but it equals 0. So what does that mean? That means that there are two separate problems to solve for. There is w plus 3 equals 0. And if you subtract 3 from both sides, you'll find out w is negative 3. We also have w minus 9 equals 0. And if you add 9 to both sides, you'll find w is 9. So the way to write the answer for this would be w equals like negative 3 comma 9. And that would actually be the answer for that. So that's kind of how you do these. I'd like to see you try doing 1, 2, 3, and 4 like that, where you're factoring. Now, let's say what I just taught, you hate it. Oh my God, this is awful. Bet some of you are saying that in your head right now. Here's another way to do it. Another way to solve for a variable in a trinomial. Replace the variable with x. That means if it, like for number 5, it says n or h or f or w, just replace them all with x. Okay, so like I'm gonna do number 5. It's not n squared, it's x squared. It's not 4n, it's 4x. It is still minus 32. And you know what? I can make it say equals 0. I could. Not really. In Desmos, type in the y. So what you do now, so I replaced the variable with x. In Desmos, type in y equals the trinomial in the question. All right, that means I make this say y equals. Okay, now when you do that, I want you to notice what happens. It makes a parabola. It does. And what it is the two zeros, meaning the two x-intercepts of this drawing, which is 4 and -8, are the answers. Yes, that is a quick, easy way to do it. Now, this also works in the testing version. As long as you write y equals. If you write y equals the thing, it's going to make it in the testing version also. I think I'm using the free, simple version, but this will also work. It'll also tell you the answers. Ta-da! That's a quick and easy way to do that. So that's what you can do for like all of these. And in fact, that's what you could have done for all of these too, but I'd rather you know how to do both ways. You do need to know how to factor. That you do. That's something that's going to pop up a lot later in their math education. Okay, how about the next thing? And the final thing about factoring is, well, what if a isn't 1? So far, a has been 1. What I mean by a is 1, I mean this is 1 w squared, this is 1 f squared, this is 1 h squared, this is 1 n squared. Like, there's no number in front of the variable being squared so far. Well, there can be. There can be. And it's the exact same process I've been teaching you. Now, I've been teaching you the grouping method of doing it because it'll make doing this dramatically easier. So I'm going to show how, all right, so same process, but here's something we got to get. If all three terms have a greatest common factor, you should divide that out first. All right, here's an example of that. Factor 3x squared minus 3x minus 18. All right, 3, 3, and 18 have a common factor. They're all divisible by 3. Like, you can actually divide all three of these numbers by 3. And if you divide all of them by 3, you get x squared minus x minus 18. I'm sorry, minus 6. Not 6. See? Yeah, so I divided everything by 3, I get that. And now you find the greatest common factors of -6 that add up to -1. That is -3 and 2. They multiply, become -6, but if you add them together, you get -1. So that means grouping would be x squared minus 3x plus 2x minus 18. All right, the greatest common factor of the first two is x. The greatest common factor of the second is 2. No, I don't mean 18. Crap, I mean 6. Why do I keep writing 18? And that becomes -3. And look what we get. Notice that the two parentheses are the same. So now that means I get to combine my greatest common factors, and then I get that. Now, so that's like the last steps of this is the same stuff you've been taught. It's just you got to check and see if all three of them actually come out to be divisible. Like, you can divide all of them by the 3. If you can divide them all by 3, it actually creates, that's not really the answer. That'd be the answer. Because I divide out 3, but really it's 3 times this stuff. Okay, now let's do where you can't divide anything out. So like 2x squared plus 15x plus 18. So I'm going to rewrite that. Okay, 2, 15, and 18 have no common factors. So that means what we're going to have to do is everything, but here's the deal. I know you're probably used to like just finding the factors of the last number over and over and over again. We don't want the factors of 18. We want the factors of 36. Now, where's the 36 come from? The rule is, what are the factors of AC with the sum of B? A has been 1 for a while. Now it's 2. AC means 2 times 18, and that's 36. So I want the factors of 36 that add up to 15, and those are 12 times 3. They are. So 12 times 3 is 36, but if you add them together, you get 15. Okay, so now we're going to do the exact same process as earlier, where you split up the bx into those two factors. Like that. So I split up 15 into 12 and 3. All right, greatest common factor of 2x squared and 12x is 2x. Yeah, so that's a little different, isn't it? That's plus 6. Plus, the greatest common factor of 3x and 18 is 3. All right. And there we have that. And so now I can combine my greatest common factors like so. And that is the answer. That is actually 2x squared plus 15x plus 18 factored out. It is that. So that's how you do these. I'd like you to try them. But again, notice first if possibly if you can divide out stuff. Like the next one, you can really divide stuff out as 13. Everything here is divisible by 3. 16, everything is divisible by 4. And that's basically it. Yeah, 21, like this is actually, they asked this as a STAR exam question for Algebra 1 a long time ago. I'll just kind of show you how to do that one because that was hard. It wants the factors of, okay, 21 times negative 20 is negative 420. You got to find factors of negative 420 that add up to 13. Ugh. Man, I got to do this? No. All right. So let's see. Let's figure that out. Let's see. 30 times 14. Now that adds up to 16. 28 times 15. Yeah, that's it. And I want positive, so that means negative. All right. So yeah, that's hard, but dude, it's Algebra 1. So, all right, so let's split up the factors of 21x squared plus 13. So it's not plus 13 now, it's now 28 minus 15x minus 20. Okay, so now the greatest common factors of 21x and 28x is 7x. And so now that is 7 plus 4, okay, minus 5, because the greatest common factor of 15 and 20 is 5, and that becomes plus 4, and notice now it brings us to the answer of 7x minus 5 times x plus 4, and that means B would have been the answer. Yeah. All right. If this lesson didn't make sense to you, watch the previous lesson. This is kind of building off the previous lesson. All right, I hope this was helpful. Have a good day.